Did you know that a big percentage of aid that comes to our communities from international donors is coming from individuals? People in the Western countries such as America or Canada commit to monthly donations that they give to NGOs of their choice to support development work in countries such as Zimbabwe. Many of us were raised or are being raised by such donor funds. Coming home to Zimbabwe, many young people, even mature people, wonder where to start when it comes to volunteering or doing good for their communities. Yes, we help our neighbors, we take in our relatives, but to what extent are we willing to part with our money monthly to support local causes? Thank you for joining me on COVID-19 Talk with Nyari Mashayamombe, where we talk everything COVID, how we are all surviving the lockdown, what's happening in your community, what have you been up to, have you started work, are you an essential service? I'd like to hear from you. Please contact us on details on your screen, our WhatsApp numbers, our Twitter, our Facebook, or Instagram. We always want to hear from you. Today in the studio, I'm joined again by Beatrice, Savadye, a beautiful young woman who's doing so much for her community. Bea, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Nyari, for having me.
Always a pleasure. I think I just get energy from young people like yourself, who are just the change. For me, it's like, we can be anything. But I know that you've been into Matemba, so wakati wakambotindisa Matemba and wakaita gold panning.
Oh yeah.
Unenga msikana ari pamshika-shika.
Yeah.
And citizens, you need to know that over and above this hilarious but powerful story of the typical woman in Zimbabwe who has had to fight for her life to be where she wants to be. Beatrice is well-traveled. She's the founder of Roots. It's a girls and young women's organization that has brought so much change in our communities, that continues doing so much work for our community. And Beatrice has traveled across the world. I mean, more God. How did you survive?
Long story, but yeah, Nyari, I'm inspired to do the work that I do,
right?
Because of my background, really. And earlier, before we started recording, we were talking about volunteerism and how I managed to bridge the gap.
That is actually the bottom lines of this episode. So now I want you, I'm just gonna I'm drinking my coffee. I really want to learn from you how you transformed your story from selling Matemba to going gold panning illegally. Then illegal gold panning and and then only now that it's been sanitized to say artisanal mining and But tell us how you transformed yourself from there to where we are. I'm just going to be drinking coffee.
Thank you, Nyari. So I was watching Michelle Obama's documentary that just came out, and she was talking about the power in her stories. Yeah, she was talking about how she grew up in Chicago and whatnot. So I also love to talk about my story. You said I'm more traveled and everything. Yeah, I am. But the story that I want to share is of how I grew up in a poor family. So every time kids would be sent home for school fees, if you haven't paid, I'm one of the people who would be sent home. I had to do gold panning. I had to do street vending.
To pay for your school fees?
Yeah, to street vending. You know, at the age of 10, 11, I was going to, those who come from Bindura know Korean mine and Kwakitia Tota. And I would go, with my mom and do all that. I also had to do like street vending. My weekends I had to help out because present, Muriwo in the streets.
You're amazing. I'd like to see you doing. Do you want to do it again?
Do it again.
But I mean, do you want to give us that?
Yeah, I'll do that. On a weekend,
you sound so cool.
And after school, to help out my parents. So it's some of the things that I had to do, for survival.
Right.
And that's what inspired me to do the work that I do. Because.
And so, how did you cross from overcoming that overbearing and hard burden to then be where you are today?
So as I was growing up and doing all this, in Kogoro Kazarinya, I could see the inequalities that were in existence in my community. You know, I come from Bindura, a lot of gold, lot of rich, farming land. But you would see that all those resources are in the hands of the few. And I'm one of the people who were affected by that. So I lost some of my friends to HIV because Makorokoza would come and entice the young girls. So I was a straight A student in my school, and I think one of the critical things that I want to acknowledge is the role of my parents. They believed in the education of the girl child. So they would make sure in and whatnot, they would korokoza or vend or whatnot or kwereta and pay for my fees eventually. So I stayed in school. Then also having a support network, my teacher would see that I'm so the headmaster my parents are gonna. So that supportive network is actually what also helped me to be where I am. And then I got into the junior council, I got into the junior parliament, and I think most of my skills of being a leader and of being solution focused came because I had to think fast. I was trying to be a leader when at the home, because there are times you would say 1 to 31 and for parent whatnot, because mukuru, like I'm the third born at some point, taking care of my young sister and whatnot. I had to be strategic about how to use Pumumba, how to use Mafuta. So I learned budgeting and all that when I was young because of my experience. And because of the inequalities I grew up seeing, I thought I wanted to change that. I thought I wanted to make the journey, shorter for the next girl. Because for me, it took forever. I took with Zimba Uchore and whatnot. So I was just inspired to go back to my community and give back. And I was inspired to start Fruits.
One of the key things that I concur with you is we don't learn work at university. Your leadership and being assertive and being a hardworking person, you're not gonna learn it at school. Neither are you gonna learn it at work. You learn it at home. And so I concur with you when you're saying, I'm just like sitting here and enjoying you say that, because how you are raised, mushika, kugeto, kumusha, whatever. I'm not promoting poverty, but I'm just saying there's something that comes with being able to budget. The next January. So I concur because I grew up in the same background, and so that's why you and I from Chica we're like game. So I'm just like, okay, so there's a person who's watching you right now, because we don't have time, girl. Who's watching you, who's like, okay, maybe Andina Kwitana Mose or Kaita, and we don't all have to have suffered to be. Pamanda Kaita Nambo, Pamunari start. Where can they start?
Bloom where you are planted. Kana right now une O level or A level, but auna basa aswa wana rekuti munati we ondi clean yondo wachire hembe.
Wow.
Wacha hembe so much that that person or wachira hembe anuita word of mouth to the next person. That's what I always say. How I landed in that job that I eventually left. I was given a small assignment. I was just volunteering, and I did an amazing work. Such that the employer at that job said, wow, I'm impressed with the way this young person has written this report, So I always say, where you are, no matter just my qualifications, I have a master's, but I'm putting some matimba, and so where you are, be passionate about it, put your all in it. Bloom where you are planted. Grace, So
be useful and like Beatrice say, and be good at what you do so much so that people want to speak on your behalf. We are going to take a break. When we come back, you're going to see from other young people who are doing things in their communities around COVID, so that you are inspired to either help yourself or others. Welcome back to Covid-19 Talk with Nyari Mashayamombe, where today we're talking about the change that young people can cause in their communities. And I'm seeking to inspire somebody today to be the solution. Sometimes, Basarako, you're the one who's supposed to create it. But most importantly, you should be driven by a cause, by a heart that wants to serve. And sometimes it's an adult. This is a show that reaches out to everyone. But my desire is for us to rise up as Zimbabweans and to be the solutions that we want in our communities, to create opportunities for ourselves and others. When you start a business, you're assisting somebody else. You're not only assisting yourself, but also others. When you start an NGO, you're assisting other people. But most importantly, you're serving your community. I want you to continue hearing from the young people that are changing our communities, that are being solutions in our communities. Stay tuned.
Young people, both at home and abroad, have shown our real character as a people, that one never walks away from their own, and that in tough times, we are stronger together. Yvonne Maposa is a Zimbabwean-born lecturer, author, philanthropist based in South Africa. While she already was involved in charity work in her home community of Plumtree, the arrival of COVID-19 made her and her friends to up their efforts. Mobilizing fellow diasporans, they've been feeding and distributing food hampers to the Plumtree community. To date, they have fed more than 200 families.
I am from Plumtree, so that is my community, and I'm a big believer of not forgetting where you come from. So these projects that I've been doing, these charity works that I've been doing, has been me giving back to my community. So I've been there where most of these families are. We are targeting mostly child-headed families and other vulnerable family groups, like those led by the elderly who cannot work for themselves. So I want to help in uplifting my community. We've been doing a lot of charity work around Plumtree community, especially now during the lockdown period, that vulnerable family groups have close to no chance at all for generating income for themselves. So at the present moment, we have impacted over 200 families. We've been providing food hampers, trying to make them as nutritious as possible. So yeah, the bigger goal is to reach out to more families. So it's to collect donations and to impact even more families within the community. Then our other projects are focusing on the girl child. So we collect sanitary pads for the girl child, because it's known that girls of school-going age sometimes miss up to a week of school because they don't have sanitary wear, so they do not go to school. So that negatively impacts their studies. So after the lockdown period, as soon as schools open, we're going to be donating sanitary pads, especially to exam writing classes. This work is very important to me because it's a statement that I'm making to every Zimbabwean to say you can make an impact in your community. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to have all the resources, you can just make an impact in your community with whatever you have.
Ryan Katai, a young man from Bulawayo, has also been assisting his community, especially child-headed families, during this time by mobilizing resources within his community to feed others. Inspired by his own story, he has dedicated his life to serving others, to be relentless in making sure that the next person has it better than his own experience of losing parents at an early age.
My name is Ryan Katai, and I'm the past president of the Rotary Club of NAST. This is an international youth organization that helps the needy in our community. We received pleas from several child-headed families in March who were facing problems as their informal jobs had been cut off due to the restricted movements that were instituted. We managed to reach out to our community through a crowdfunding platform where we were receiving funds and hampers that we managed to donate to them. As of now, we've managed to reach out to 4 locations in Bulawayo, including Gwabalanda, Luveve, Msilikazi, and Mkandeni. What really drove me is this: I am an orphan as an individual, and I understand how and what it means to lose a breadwinner in each and every home. These people need our help, and it's only us who can take them out of this quagmire that is striking them at this very moment. And to all youths out there, I implore to you, it doesn't hurt to take off your time on your calendar and help someone in need. Every dollar counts towards helping someone move from this day to the next day.
You heard from young people that are rising up to do whatever they gotta do to serve their communities. That makes my heart happy. I really get glad because I'm one person who loves to come up with solutions. I'm one person who is a doer. And I like for us to have more doers in our community so that we don't complain, so that we are the solutions that we are waiting for. I want to bring people that inspire you. I want to bring people that you can learn from. I want you to know that you could actually create your own job and the jobs of others around you. Don't always stay with us. We come back with some more inspiration for you.
We have shared work that's being done by mostly young people around the COVID-19 pandemic who are fighting to reduce its impact and ensuring that their communities remain sustainable with basics available to keep everyone provided for. Additionally, life-changing work is being carried out in rural communities such as Murewa, where organizations such as Rosaria Memorial Trust RMT are providing help such as personal protection equipment to local authorities since the beginning of the pandemic. They've also provided information to girls and young women on how they can prevent COVID-19 and lead in information dissemination in their communities to prevent the pandemic. Through the leadership of Dr. Nyari Mashayamombe, who is also African Union Goodwill Ambassador in ending child marriages, RMT has joined forces with local and provincial authorities in mitigating and responding to COVID-19.
Our work here in Murewa and in Shamba has shown that when we train community leaders and champions who are able to go door to door, we are able to have as many people access information. We have been working with the district coordinating mechanism here in Murewa, and we're able to support the training of the village committees, COVID-19 committees. We've worked with the Catholic Church, and they have also been training their champions, and we have been offering support. That has been very important for us. And indeed, we've reached out to the young girls, to the young women, and they need to be more involved, especially at the time when they are not going to school. As Rosaria Memorial Trust, since the advent of COVID-19, we've taken a range of measures. We've been involved in the prevention, from raising awareness, providing IEC materials, translating the materials into local languages, being part of the district outreach teams. We've also been very conscious that hand washing is critical, and therefore, and hand washing with soap. And we have produced our Chijaka liquid soap that we have distributed to the 23 clinics, to the 3 hospitals in Murewa districts, and we continue to also provide to the district hospital and to our quarantine center. So the production of Chijaka liquid soap is very important for us. We are also looking at how that product can be available to schools as schools are now preparing to open. Rosaria Memorial Trust took a very bold and tough decision to designate our center, which is a training facility, a counseling facility, and a dendere, which is our shelter, to be a COVID-19 response center, which includes it being an isolation center when the district is overwhelmed here in Murewa. So we are also preparing ourselves to say there is no way that we can see our own people struggling and suffering without access to quality services when we can actually offer our center, and we really appreciate the collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Child Care. We really appreciate all this cluster of partners who are also saying we can integrate the COVID-19 response into the existing programs that we have. My message to the community and to everybody who may be listening is prevention happens at individual level and at household level and at community level. We must shift priority to the communities. We must scale up the provision of PPE to the frontline responders, whether these are health workers, care workers, us who do community work, and we must address areas which are still very gray for us. The whole area of children and COVID-19, self-isolation at home, in the training we've done, the outreach we have done, the partnerships we have done, has meant that this is home-based care. This is woman-centered care, and yet there are no sufficient guidelines to support the women who provide care at home. Do they have PPE? Are they able to exercise social distancing? How much are they at risk? What is the care package that is around them? We should learn from our experience on HIV and AIDS response and our Ebola response in Africa so that we are able to protect the caregiver. And really the media has been a critical component in partnership for our work. Let's continue to tell the story, to break the silence. And also let's continue to believe that COVID-19 is here with us, and at the same time, we must prevent it. We must care with empathy. We must prevent gender-based violence and really address the concern that many girls are at risk of child marriage.
In Masvingo, Kudzaida Akwa joins us to share their initiatives.
As young people, I would like to urge you to engage in voluntary work. As much as you are not getting remuneration, but at the end of the day, you will see how great the impact you will have made in the lives of vulnerable people. As an organization, we have a number of activities we managed to do during COVID-19. We mobilized food, sanitary ware, and sanitizers. We managed to engage various stakeholders such as City of Masvingo, the Ministry of Health, business community, as well as community leaders. We are so grateful for the support they've given us. In rural communities, I have noticed that people living there are partially informed about COVID-19, especially on the issue of social distance and wearing of masks during food distribution gathering as well as funerals. Alertness is also still low on people who have gained access into the country through illegal entry but have not gone to quarantine centers. As an organization, we need sanitary ware, food, protective clothing such as masks and gloves, sanitizers, water dispensers, food, as well as any other resources which you might see of help to residential care facilities.
We have seen that we are indeed the solution that we are looking for. We do need resources, but sometimes we can begin where we are. My encouragement to you today is, while the government is doing their part, as community, let's assist each other. No one amongst us should ever go without.
I am so proud of this show and myself and you for spending time with me, following up on this series where I sought to show you people that are doing so much work with so little in our communities to show that we're the change that we're waiting for. I always want to hear from you guys. Reach out to me. Tell me how you've been surviving the lockdown. Tell me how you're helping your community. I always want to hear from you. You may find yourself featured on our show. Reach out to us on our social media platforms to learn more or to connect with some of our guests that have been part of this series. You can feel free to actually visit their own social media platforms, and I want to hear your stories. Until next time, follow us on our social media platforms. Have a good one.
Hey Mhlobo family, thank you for joining me today. Let's keep talking. Join our social media platforms and tell us how you're beating COVID-19. Tell us your stories. What's happening in your communities? Is everything okay? Reach us on our WhatsApp numbers, text numbers, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube channels. Tell us about the good, the ugly, the funny, the talents, the skills you developed during this time. For families or couples, tell us the most funny or unbelievable thing you learned about your partner or your child or your family. You may find yourself on our TV show the next time, or you may win a cool prize from us if we like your story. Remember, write in proper spellings. No shorthand accepted. Ciao!